Yeah. All right. Well, nah, I don't have anything to share right now. I'm getting some odds, but we got more than five, so that's progress. 10,
We got
11.
what?
We have more than five viewers, so that's progress.
Well, I mean, dang, you might as well turn the game off. Like I just came out to the garage. Like I don't even want to watch this
Like I
crap.
was serious. Like, did James really on our top free agent, one of our top free agents, or was I imagining that?
What? What? Oh, you
Did
talking
he
about
bomb him twice?
well, the second one was on him. Dude,
Well, who's the first
that
one?
was a hell of a throw and catch. I mean, both of them were good coverage,
I
but
mean, he threw
both
it
of
to where
those
you can
were
only throw it, but just the anticipation
yeah.
of throwing it, man. Like,
No, we got to get into the ball skills of the Jacksonville Jaguars all the way around right now. Like, do we want to go ahead and get
I
started?
think, yeah, I mean, yeah. Because to be honest with you, I'm tired.
I am
I had
too.
a good day. I had a full day. Like it was one of those. I was really, really happy about how my day went. I got 3 miles in early, not in the
I saw
afternoon. Like I
that.
got it early, and then my day kind of got thrown around. I didn't really eat like I should, but I literally like this last Monday. I was dying, but right now, man, I feel I was really in a good mood. And then I was like, you know what? We can't do a show because the Jags game's on. But I was like, hey,
Hmm.
we
We should
talked
have just
about
done
doing an
one.
instant reaction. We talked about doing an instant reaction. Let's not take the people away from watching the Jacksonville Jaguars. But then
Mm.
I watched it. And you know what? We should have taken the people away from the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It would have
And it
been the
probably
better
would have
thing
been
to do.
funnier. Yeah, because we could have live commentated it because what I tweeted
Mm.
would have
Not unless
just
we want to get it.
naturally
Not
come
unless
up.
we want to get sued. You kidding?
No. You couldn't tweet, couldn't watch the game. Like, I can't put the game on, but I
Yeah.
could talk about what I see, right? I'm not on 1010
Uh,
XL anymore.
I guess that's
Like,
true. That's
so
true.
we could talk about it.
You can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, well, no,
Yeah.
yeah, facts. I saw Hacker almost get Hacker's trying to get fired. Quote tweeting Dan or Orlowski saying they
Oh
should
yeah.
fire the OC now. Yeah, I'm like, okay, look at Hacker getting the set. Look at him, cute.
Well, I mean,
Well,
we.
anyways,
Well,
this is
who said that?
before we do
Who?
it, this is the sports den instant reaction or instant overreaction, however you decide to show. We're gonna try to do these during the season. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now, it's gonna get traction. If you got a business and you want your business to succeed, you need to sponsor this. That's all.
Yeah,
That's how
this
I'm
is
gonna
the
put it
place
out
to
there.
do
We
it
can
right
talk with
here.
you. We have a number on how to sponsor this show because we've seen it done before. So, but
Right. Yeah.
that's the
This is the one to hop on. Yeah. I mean, and really, I mean, being the second preseason game and everything that surrounded this game, meaning the quarterback competition in New Orleans, um, the supposed quarterback competition here in Jacksonville, all that kind of stuff. This was as close to a real game feel as you can get. But that's kind of like where I want to start, James, because I don't know what we just watched. Um, it wasn't good, but I'm going to say this, and I want people to really understand this. I tweeted this, and I want y'all to understand this. I want you to wrap your head around this. I want you to really embrace what I'm about to tell all of you. There is nothing in sports more useless than a preseason NFL game. Nothing. Absolutely not a spring training baseball game. There's more correlation between a spring training baseball game and a regular season baseball game. There's more correlation between a NBA team in preseason being or being good and then being good in the regular season. Like there is zero correlation between how you perform in preseason and how you perform in the regular season in the NFL. The preseason is the most worthless time for anybody who's any good on any level. Now, With that being said, there's some issues here. And we can go through those issues. Uh, the main issue, if we just want to start off with it, is that nobody knows what the hell this offense is supposed to do. Like, take Trevor out, take the offensive line out. Cam must have been hurt or something, because when I walked out here, homeboy was still playing left tackle. Cam never got in the game. He'd been playing the whole game. Walker Little.
Mm-hmm.
But there's, like, forget positionally, forget the players for a second. What the hell are we doing on offense? Like, what is this?
Good question.
What, like, I don't even understand. Like, I don't even understand conceptually. I'll put it this way, and here's what gives me hope. I am very familiar with the Jaguars playbook. I cannot go into detail as to why I'm so familiar, but James, you know, I am
Yeah.
very familiar with the Jaguars playbook. I have not seen any of this stuff that they've been doing the last 2 weeks through camp or through any type of interaction I've had with the Jags playbook. The Jags playbook is dope. What the Jags are doing right now is not dope. Hopefully,
Well,
they're
that's
so
cool.
base
So
that
it's
we don't know.
skullduggery, little skullduggery, little. They're tricking everybody. Okay, I see. I'm with it. Okay, okay.
I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying I don't
Oh,
know what's happening. Like, I mean, when
okay.
you watch that, is there any rhyme or reason to anything that's going on offensively?
No, and again, it is very base. But here's the thing about running base. It's again, it's your basics. It's the basic things. You should know how to do those things well. So like again, think about again trying to make this to where it's easily consumable to people who don't know the finer things about football. Like when you're doing math, or when you're doing math, it should be you're doing 1 plus 1 equals 2. That's the basics. If you don't understand and you can't get an A or 100% on 1 plus 1 equals 2, we can't bring you to addition. I mean, bring you to multiplication. We can't advance you to algebra. We can't advance you to calculus. We can't move you forward if you don't understand the basis of it. So the Jags, if what you're telling me, Danny, what you're seeing is dope, you're seeing the pre-cal book. They can't get
That's
the
right.
pre-cal if they don't understand. If they're not doing basic addition and subtraction properly. So
You,
when I'm looking at this, it's a multitude of things. There's no push on the offensive line, like basic run plays. So basically your dive, basically an off tackle. You're not. There's nothing for the running back to do. I can't even tell you if well James Robinson is a different type of back, but I can't tell you if Carlos Hyde is washed because every back looks exactly the same outside
mm-hmm.
of a couple of James Robinson runs. I can't tell you that the offensive line is bad. Now, I kind of took a little bit of what you were telling us last week on Tuesday on the Sports Den about the game breakdown, and then also finally watching the game for myself and understanding that anytime I see this in basically a pocket, the offensive line is not doing bad. What happens is if you stay in the back of the pocket, and Florida State fans would understand this because I spoke on this a lot. If you stay in the back of the pocket and you're a statue, the defensive ends are going to get to you. The tackles aren't that good. And it's not even a bad thing. It's no tackles that good. The defensive ends are just consistently more athletic and stronger, and they're coming forward where you're having to go backwards, stop momentum, and redirect. That's a lot harder than somebody who's coming forward at full speed. Now, you get to step in the pocket, you get to make go to the right or go to the left. I don't know much about quarterback play. That's your stuff. But I do know this. Ever since 2002, when I stepped on Florida State's practice field, I have seen back, step up, to the left, to the right. You see it every day, and quarterbacks do this dance. Now, he did it later on. He did it in the second half a little bit later. But let's be honest. 14 points in the NFL is like 28 points in college. That's a really big lead. The Jags in 2017 will get up 14 points, albeit the defense would score it, and then literally take our ball and go home. That's the
That was
way
a
the
wrap.
league is. That's the way the league is played. So you've got that, and that's just offensive. Oh, then again, the thing that hasn't happened for the Jags in years: separation and routes. You know, Marvin Jones is going to be your number one guy. I don't expect him to get open all the time because he runs great routes, but that means the other guys have to step up. And nobody's stepping up or our quarterback can only read braille. It's one of the two. I don't have the all 11, so I can't really tell you what it is. All I know is if you have 6 seconds, which he had a couple of times, you should not be sacked. In fact, there should be a big play that's being
Let
made, and that's just the
let's let,
offensive wall.
let's back up because you just said something about you can't go past base until you get base down. If you want to know what a base offense is supposed to look like, you don't have to look any further than Cleveland and New Orleans first strings each week. They come out, it's a base offense. Quarterback knows where he's going with the ball. You don't even give the defensive line a chance to get to you. And you're hitting receivers right out of the break. Bam, 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 right down the line. Right? All the way down the field. 9 of 10. James Winston, also known as Jemias. 9 of 10. Bam, 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 right down the field. I'm a Saints fan. Okay? If the Saints and the Jags play each other, I'll pull for the Saints. I'm a Saints fan. And I'm telling you, I'm still not sold on Jameis Winston. But the Jags' ball skills are so bad defensively that the last two starting quarterbacks, neither of which arguably are starting quarterbacks at the NFL level, have completed like 90% of their passes. But the bigger point is that's what a base offense is supposed to look like in the preseason. You're supposed to put your first team in. You're supposed to go down the field. You're supposed to score a field goal or a touchdown. You're supposed to do it again. Then you're supposed to get them the hell out of the game. And then you get a bunch of people trying to make the team. The Jags don't have a base. There is
Right.
no base offense right now. Defensively is a whole nother story, bro. Jameis, again, as a Saints fan, I hope what we saw out of Jameis is what we see the whole year. He is insanely talented from an arm perspective. Nobody has ever said anything differently. But both of those touchdown passes, as great of balls as they were, the defensive back showed terrible ball skills. Like awful. Tyson Campbell, like turn your head around, dog. Like just turn your head around. I mean, it's I don't understand.
But Tyson Campbell had that happen to him in college. So, like, why would you, if you're a general manager, the guy who sounds like he has a thing on his throat, if you've been breaking this stuff down, you would know that that's a weakness of Tyson Campbell, and you would think you would attack that during the offseason.
You're right. No, you're right. And again, I don't want to take anything away from Jameis because both those balls, like you couldn't have run down the field and put them in better positions. I mean, they were unbelievable. Both of them good coverage. It's just at some point you have to take personal accountability and you have to say, well, the ball skills aren't there. Yes, great thrown ball, like great catch, awesome catch on both of them. But that just as easily should have been batted down. So I don't
Fact.
know. I think there's a major linebacking problem with the Jags. That's just my personal opinion. And I've been consistent with that since the very first day of camp. I think they have big time problems at the second level. I don't know if their defensive line's any good because nobody's ever covered enough to make a quarterback hold the ball. James, how many times have you seen Jameis Winston play football?
Seeing
100?
James play,
80?
yeah, see them play live, see them play in the NFL. I mean,
Okay.
it's
Jameis
yeah.
Winston loves play action, and he loves to take the shot downfield. Jameis Winston is a big play quarterback. Have you ever seen Jameis Winston get rid of the ball as quick as he did tonight?
No, like that. The first one, I literally saw the snap, and you know how you like glance somewhere off
Mm-hmm.
like real quick, and I think I looked in my living room because I was watching it from my room, and the door was open. I looked in the living room, and I looked back, and I'm like, wait a minute, did they just score? What happened? It was just so fast, and I'm like, man, this is
They're just making it
it's like
easy.
this. Let me put it to really again because base and base, right? So this is what scares me is when base and base met ones versus ones, and obviously the Saints probably had people held out, but when the ones versus ones met, it's not just that they scored. Scoring happens. It's
Mm-hmm.
how quick the Saints scored and how quick the Saints stopped the offense.
Effortless.
3 consecutive drives. And that's
Yep.
what threw me off.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, me personally, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into this, but me personally, I was thinking about this while I was watching the game. What do you do with that third preseason game if you're Urban? And honestly, like you've got a week off between that and the season. I don't know if I risk at all taking any more confidence hits going into the easiest stretch of the schedule being the first 4 weeks. I don't know if I'll play my starters. I think I'd rather build them up in confidence at practice and you know what, let's roll. I mean, I don't want to overreact to this, and I'm not overreacting this because I've been around long enough and I've been around football long enough to know that when the games matter, everything changes. And I think part of why I don't want to overreact to this is because I also don't want to get too excited about what I just saw from the Saints. So I'm probably taking both sides
Yeah.
of it, but it's just it looks like two different levels of football out there these first 2 weeks. It looks like if you were to watch a double A baseball team play a Major League Baseball affiliate, that's what it looks like. And that's the concerning part.
I'm not. Man, these guys don't know how to win. You play everybody, man. Like you, like to be honest with you, you
Yeah.
kind of already know. You know you're 44, right? But you let you got to get your 44 a good solid quarter and a half, and then you let the guys so you're not 100 because you got to get to 80 by tomorrow, like which they already know who the 80 are. So, so your next significant cut, comes basically, you know, over the next 2 weeks. So you got to be able. But right now you don't even know what you can do with your in your base, and that's the part that's concerning. And yes, we can go out there and we can get into the nuances and the complications of what football is, and probably trick people a little bit. It happens. You got professionals, and nothing should ever be second guessed about the will of an athlete to win. Because I mean, there are times when you just go out there and you just want to win, so you perform better than what others do. But at the end of the day, this just shows that how far away the Jags are. And again, as a fan base, what you should want is you're not winning the Super Bowl this year, but you should want a progression to showing that you're going to get better. And you've got so much momentum that you built in the offseason that this kind of just kind of pooped on that, man.
Yeah, but you win the first two games and nobody remembers this.
Without a doubt. Gardner just threw an interception.
You know? I mean, I guess did he really? I
Yeah.
guess at the end of the day, like if you go back to when you played James, if y'all were on offense and you're running a base offense, you knew what that meant, right? Y'all were going to
Mm-hmm.
run what power? Y'all were going to
Yeah.
run
Well, yeah, our sprint draw was
just
basically our power.
right, quick passing game, shallow cross. Y'all
Mm-hmm.
ran the piss out of.
We
Like
call it
that was y'all's
60 series
right,
sting, which was our slants, I believe. Cadillac, which was our hitches. So that would be the 60 series. We're gonna run our base, basically power I, and then if we got into a situation where it was short yardage, we're gonna go Houston personnel. We're gonna go two tight ends personnel, and it's basically four. It's plays that we know like the back of our hand that we're confident is what we do, and that's what
so that
in
was y'all's
this. What
base.
do
Y'all
the
knew that.
Jags do? Yeah,
That's
we
my
knew what
point.
our identity was.
The Saints base tonight was pretty easy. It was wide zone stretch, right? It was middle of the field passing game, um, and it was. I don't even. It honestly, it just looked like inside zone to me. But if I go back and look at it, something different. And they did that really well. They lined up and they did that really well. My concern is the Jags don't have a base. We talk about them not being able to run the base. They don't have a base offense. It doesn't
Okay.
exist. That's my concern. Like I think some people may be listening and be like, well, why do you game plan each week? Why? No, you have to have a base level. You have to have a foundation of what everything else is run off of, or everything else
It's your
runs
core.
off of
It's
that.
it's the character.
Right.
It's the character of your offense or your defense. If all else fails, yes, you adapt to every situation, but it's what you do. Like it's who we are. Like
It's
if you
literally in
don't
the
know
play
what you
call.
do and who you are, yeah, it's like how can you fix it? This is how you adapt and adjust. So even our base. So every basically, well, and even in training camp, these are the plays. Here are the four basic defenses that we're going to see. Some of them are still here. You got basically your two odd man fronts, your tiger front, which is your 3-3 stack, your 3-4, your 4-3, which was everybody's base during that time, and then you had a four
Mhm.
four. And if they really was really getting into it, they would go what they call bears, which is basically a 5-2. That means you had tackle no, your T&T front, tackle nose tackle. Even in the 3-3 stack, if they went tackle nose tackle, we automatically called that bears. So we called that a 5.
Yep.
But the basic thing is, I knew what to do in all of those fronts. So the adjustment was, oh, they don't have four down linemen. It's 1, 2, 3. Huh? Is the linebackers behind those guys? If the linebackers are
Yep.
directly behind those guys, that's a stack. Oh, my adjustment is after the center IDs the mic, which means they point to whoever they believe the mic linebacker is, they can point to the safety and call him the mic linebacker if they want to. They don't, but that's what they can do. And then I go pick up the guy who's right next guy over. That's the
Yep.
adjustment. It's not what you get. Like again, I think people make football to make sure that they can write and talk to you in weird words overly more complicated than what it is. It's really that simple.
Right. And if you didn't have that base level knowledge of rules, you couldn't have gone any further. I think we just spent 20 minutes essentially trying to tell all of you guys that's got to happen in the next 2 weeks for the Jags, or there will be no game planning of any sort, because you can't change your offense or your defense. Switch to the other side for a second. If you watch the defense when Jameis was in there, they tried everything, bro. It's a preseason game. They tried to base it up. They tried to zone coverage. They tried to blitz. Bro, they went cover zero, all out blitz with a free runner, and Jameis threw a touchdown.
I
That's
told you,
the
I think
problem.
yeah, that is a problem. But I've told you guys this when I was on 10 when we were on when the show was on 1010, and we didn't really actively address the D line, and then with the rumor with the defense basically shifting, you really didn't address it, and it's just you you need specific types of body types and players to do that. And oh, by the way, you have the largest cap space to be able to do whatever it is you want to do. So like the fact that it did not happen and the fact that it's not happening now is very frustrating because yes, you can still do it next year because that cap space will still be there. But what better way to go into the next year? Basically, this is the transition year, like with some talent to be able to identify, and then you go into year two with some leaders and some guys who really know what it is that you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, if the game plan is right to try to get to 6 or 7 wins this year, like if you can get to 6 or 7
Or
wins,
maybe Herbs is crazy like a fox, and we're going to tank for Kayvon Thibodeau out of Oregon. Now that solves that solves your D line problem.
I mean, look, if you get 6 or 7, hold on, follow me here, and you've got, what now? I think they got $40 million of cap. That'll be, 80 million by the end of the
Yeah,
season,
the end
90
of the
million,
year.
something like that. And you come off of 6 wins. Well, now, okay, Jacksonville, you can continue the same level of excitement that you had this offseason. To your point, like if you're going to roll that money over, you better get 5, 6, 7 wins. You better not roll that money over and get two. And I think that's when we're watching this, there's a little bit of PTSD here for Jag fans.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's easy for us to say, hey, don't overreact to this. But the reality is this is the same crap that we've seen for the better part of the past 15 years. And so you go back to, man, I was excited for what? What was I excited for? This is the same stuff that we've seen over and over and over. Boring offense that can't get anything going, that has to manufacture stuff, and quarterbacks have to make miracles happen, and receivers aren't creating separation. And for crying out loud, we can't stop a screen to save our freaking lives, no matter who coaches here. Like, it's all the same crap. All that being said, I'm going to really hold my depression until I see them play Houston. And if they come out against Houston and it's the same stuff where they don't seem like they have any semblance of what they're trying to do, then I'll hit not the panic button, but I will hit that PTSD button. Right now, I just keep leaning on, bro, the NFL preseason is the worst sports that there is in all of sports. There's not anything worse than the NFL preseason. And I'm just going to keep leaning on that right now.
So my big question here, and it is the preseason, but should we be concerned with how long Trevor's holding on to the ball?
I'm more concerned about his pocket awareness than I am with how long he's holding the ball, because I want to see. I want to go back. I want to watch the game again. I don't know if it's concepts. I don't know what it is, but there doesn't seem to be the opportunity to get rid of the ball quickly. Maybe he's missing it. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe there's that early shot, but there doesn't. There was a go ball that he caught one-on-one coverage on, and it was a bad throw. It was covered up. It was LaVisca. But outside of that, balls aren't coming out of his hands, quickly, and there doesn't seem to be the opportunity. But I am starting to get a little concerned with the lack of pocket awareness that he seems to be showing here. It's like, and people think I'm too critical on him. And James, I'm the biggest Trevor Lawrence fan there is in the world. But you shouldn't make moves in two linemen, and he seems the first 2 weeks to have done that a lot. Now, the linemen didn't help tonight. Last week, I said those sacks were Trevor's fault, and Trevor came out and said the same thing, by the way. This week, no. Walker Little, you tricked me during camp. I thought you were a beast, and you got absolutely owned tonight by everybody they put over you. So, Walker, my bad. Like, you got me. Ben Barch, bro, you better start eating some of them shakes. Yeah, I mean, the offensive line was bad tonight.
We know why his strength is gone, and it ain't the shakes. Yeah, you can't. It's the rigorous testing. You can't. While I'm terrified of needles, I know for a fact Ben Barch got his vaccine because he does.
Hey, I got a question. I got a question though. So it went away, but somebody just asked us this question, and I thought about it earlier, and I thought about how ironic it is. Somebody just asked us the question, why can't we ever seem to get the easy 7-yard pass that everybody else gets,
Right.
which is what I've been saying for the last 30 minutes. Isn't it weird, though, that when Gardner's in, we get it? And all anybody ever talks about is why does Gardner always throw the 5-yard pass? I guess as I'm saying that, I guess what I'm realizing is that defenses are going to play him each differently. Gardner doesn't have that arm strength for them to be really intimidated by the 50 or 60-yard pass like they do with Trevor, like Trevor has.
Right.
But, man, Trevor, you ain't going to get a chance to throw that 50 or 60-yard pass if you don't start hitting the sevens. If you don't show the ability to do both, like it's like it's such a different offense with both of them right now. I'm not saying this is competition, but the things that aren't working with Trevor are all the things that we've been saying about Gardner. Hey, man, why don't we take shots downfield? Right? So I don't know what to believe at this point. I'm as confused as anybody at this point. I'm looking forward to seeing the all-22 to see what they're doing differently when the two quarterbacks come in, but it's got to be something that the defense is doing differently.
I believe Gardner. With Gardner, they're trying to get him to get rid of the ball faster. And I know this is kind of weird, like no crap, but like Gardner's legs are what kills defenses. So while Trevor's going to sit in the pocket on that 6-7 second thing, and again, when you go back, it's easy to point out, and it's the truth. It's easy to point out when the blocking breaks down. it's harder to break out. It's harder, and most people don't want to because that's what you're supposed to do to point out the many times the pocket was there and he had time. He just
Yeah.
didn't know where to go with the ball, and that happened a lot in this game. But with Gardner, Gardner steps back in his drop, 1-2 deuces. So if
Yep.
which one would you rather? Especially a guy who gets lost in the pocket. I'd rather him dink and dunk me down the field than get the opportunity to use his legs, and then we have a scramble drill. And what if he does progress into, which I'm not saying he will, because he doesn't have the arm strength, progress into a Russell Wilson S type player to where now, oh, I'm scrambling. DB, you either step up and stop me from getting the first down, or I'm going to chunk the ball down the field. And I think that's where it comes down, where Trevor isn't leaving that pocket until later in the second quarter when he scrambled for the first down, which he made a foolish decision. We don't need you going in there trying to truck somebody, bro.
Yeah.
Slide.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
I saw was Sean Wade all up in his grill, knocking did in his face mask in. And there was a couple. Then there was one time where if he would have literally just he climbed the pocket, then he stopped and
Yeah.
went back. And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, climb, go to your right. That's the only thing you can do in that situation. Quick throws protect a bad offensive line. I'm not defending the offensive line. I'm saying the offensive line did do their job a lot of times. But if you want to protect the bad offensive line, quicker decision making helps them. And the fact that there was the run game was putrid. And run
Terrible.
is all mental. Is all mentality from across the line. You literally just have to get in your mind that I'm going to go bully the person in front of me and I'm going to push them around. And the Jags just did not do that today. There was, and again, it doesn't matter how complicated the scheme is because at the basics level, stretch, inside zone, dive, toss, which
Power.
again, a power,
Not even
yeah, because they
really
still do
power anymore,
power.
but
But they don't
yeah.
even do that anymore. Really, everything is trying to keep stuff here and then just make it quick and move up.
Mm.
The only things that you can add is a jet sweep, but the jet sweep is nothing more than a stretch. Um, and then you do screen game. But if you can't move the guys, then what are we doing here? We need to get maulers and mean people. And it goes back to what I said. And people again, I'm going to defend my homie Mia O'Brien anytime again because she's a salt of the earth type person. She's a dope individual. Instead of getting mad at me over asking about your job, get mad at the defensive lineman in front of you and maul their asses. Because that's the real person. Nobody's afraid of a 5'2", 95-pound reporter. But apparently you guys are all afraid of 6'2", 6'3", 300-pound D tackles.
Now, let me ask you this. I'm going to give my answer. I have zero concerns about Trevor Lawrence right now. I think he's on a team that was 1-15 last year with an all new staff. It's different than what Mac has in New England, and it's even different than what Justin has in Chicago and what Trey has in San Francisco. Like, this is a whole different thing now. There's a reason why they got the number one overall pick. I have no concern. Do you? Do you have a concern about Trevor?
No, I don't have concerns. I have questions because I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, my only questions are the pocket presence and is he seeing the field the way that he needs to see the field so he can make the decision quicker? But I also know that Justin Fields made a comment, and I think he immediately regretted that comment
Yeah, yeah.
in game two. I understand what he said, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not as fast as what people think.
Tell him what
My
Justin
practice
said.
is at Florida State. Justin said that the speed of the NFL, basically, he's already adjusted to the speed of the NFL, if I remember correctly. Or basically, the NFL
Yeah.
is not as fast
It
as what you
wasn't
think.
that fast. Yeah.
Numerous people have said that, and it's not what you think. At Ohio State, his practice is probably like elite college practices are fast as hell. NFL practices aren't, and NFL, what it is not fast. The hashes are tighter, and I think I've said this on the sports thing. The adjustment is the hash marks are tighter than they are in college, which makes the field tighter. In college, the field is double the hash marks are double the size. So that means the field is longer, and you line up your defense or your offense based on the hash marks. So you can spread a defense out further in college. And if you got a cannon like Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, these guys have, if you can make that sideline to sideline throw, especially making those the linebackers and the interior linemen move side to side, there's a lot more. Now in the NFL, it's tighter, and
Yeah.
these guys, the film study is so much more precise that they know what you're doing based upon breath. Like they look at how you
Right.
breathe. They're
Right.
looking at weight placement in the hand. They're looking at how you shift. And basically, in high school, like I've heard people coaches try to coach high school kids on that, and I'm like, man, dude, your kid ain't athletic enough for that to even matter. Run through their
Yeah.
face masks. College, it's a step up, but still, there's not enough film for it. And typically, if I'm a 5 star and you're a 3 star, I'm going to run through you. And that's just the case.
Hmm.
NFL, no matter how you feel, everybody there is an NFL player. They all belong. So you can't really just run through somebody like that. It's that next step of development and next step of anticipation. Like that's what made Ray Lewis be able to play so long. Because Ray Lewis's speed probably went from 4.5 to 5.1 by the time he was all said and done, but he knew exactly where to go, and he was so
Hmm.
smart that he was able to do what needed to be done.
It's Tom Brady right now.
Facts. Tom Brady's arm strength
Tom Brady don't
is
get touched because
right. He knows where to go.
yeah, he never gets touched because the ball comes out, he sets the protection, he knows what you're going to do. I don't have any concerns. I mean, I could get into like pet peeves that I have that I've seen. Like I hate young quarterbacks and parents like the whole spin reverse out spin set thing that quarterbacks practice and do over and over and over again is like one of the biggest wastes of movements that you can have. And Trevor does that. He does that. And when you're 6'7", man, that takes you a little while. And he almost threw a pick tonight coming off of it because you just don't have time
Mm-hmm.
to reset your eyes and throw in the NFL. But I think it's things like that. He's going to learn and he's going to be fine. And the ball snaps out of his hands, and he's obviously a smart guy. You can see that tonight. I mean, I would do reads or what, like we talked about, but I don't have any concerns on this.
No, I mean, and it doesn't matter. But I think and then the biggest concern is they've got to go. They've got to. I think C.J. Beathard just threw a touchdown. Yep, nice wide open busted play. The biggest concern is they've got to be able to develop a run game. So it's not. None of my concerns are with
Yeah,
Trevor. Trevor will be what we need him to be, or he won't be what we need him to be. But we won't
yeah.
know that until years down the road. Anyway, he is our quarterback. But I think in the third game, either Urban's got to shut people up or get people talking more about, like you said, not playing against starters at all. But right now, if I'm watching film, I see food. So because again, you can't do your basics right then. And my concern is this: what the hell? We got to wrap it up because this is supposed to be a quick hitting one. What the hell is the beat scene? And why are you people believing this though? Because what I've heard, what I've read through Twitter, I don't read much, and this is why I don't like people's opinions outside of people I value, like I value yours. And is the practice really showing something that much different than what the product is showing?
So I'm gonna answer it because and our friend Mia can back me up on this. I realized 2 weeks ago when I was sitting at practice how bad the linebackers were. When I started really paying attention to how many times Trevor and Gardner were connecting with the tight ends. And I had this aha
Mm-hmm.
moment, like, hold on a second. Our tight ends aren't Travis Kelce and and Darren Waller. So
Right.
what something doesn't add up here. And so I just started paying attention really at the scrimmage. And it was like, man, our linebackers can't cover anybody. And 70% of the passes are going to tight ends. I mean, I can think of one completion to tight ends in the first two preseason games when we got against other people's linebackers. Conversely, teams have had no issues hitting the flats in the middle of the field against our linebackers. So I think some of that has been really how poor our linebackers are in coverage, and so how easy it's been for both of them, Gardner and Trevor, to find easy completions.
Okay. So here's what people need to do. Right now, we got 82 people on here. Please like, share, retweet this. And what we need y'all to start doing is tell them people to hold your beat writers accountable and tell them start telling you the truth. What's it Will Smith doing concussion? Tell you the truth. You gotta tell them to tell you the truth, man. Because here's the reason why we have this many people and a bunch of y'all stayed up late for us to be do and ask for instant reaction when we put it up there. It's because you want the truth, you can handle the truth, and you want competent coverage. So if you want competent coverage consistently, make sure you go on YouTube, subscribe to the Sports Den. We're at like 758 subscribers. We got to get to 1,000. Come check us out. Make sure you follow us on all the social medias at SportsDen_live on IG and on Twitter, the Sports Den on Facebook. Follow at Denny_Thompson on Twitter, at Big Game James _36. But mainly, we need you to follow the main pages. Tell a friend to follow the main pages. Once we get to 1,000 people on YouTube, that helps us more, and that helps us be able to bring you a really really good hard hitting content. And if you have a local business and you want to talk about sponsoring the instant reaction show post games, right now we're in preseason, so we're trying to get warmed up. But you're going to get a 30 to 40 minute instant reaction, and you already see right now exactly how people are going to be. The comment section is flowing, it's wild, and they're going to come and they're going to support your business because they want to support the sports. Then so other than that,
Um,
anything else you
well,
want to say?
coming soon, real soon, we'll have a text line.
Oh,
Um,
dope.
yep, that will be a 24/7 text line. Um, we'll have a studio that James and I are working on tomorrow. Equipment's been bought. And so Wednesday night actually will be some good content because I have a ton of stories that's happened over the past week. Um, Joey Gatewood, I can talk freely about now, which is an interesting story. And then just a lot of things going on in our lives right now. So Wednesday night will be fantastic. Make sure you guys are tuned in Wednesday night, and then we'll get into that normal schedule once the Monday night, our only Monday night football game is done. We appreciate you guys for joining us. Make sure you get to ABC, though. You should always be celebrating. Always have ABC in your hand while you're watching the Sports Den. That's the way to do it. Get to thehumidor.com for all of your cigar needs. James, you good? We got anything else? We wrapping up.
Now we done.
We done. We will talk to you guys on Wednesday. Have a good night.